Welcome back to Somos Cholos podcast. We have two new members, being and Brez, also known as Romeo and Daniel. That's why we had a very interesting discussion on the Bible's real opinion on people who are gay. So we're going to get into a much deeper dive and talk about the extent a non-believer's criticism of religious beliefs can be legitimate. So, what?
Yes.
Are you religious?
Yes.
What religion specifically are you to?
Christianity. I love my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
What's your opinion on people who aren't part of a religion?
Don't really care. They don't believe. They're sinning. Not my problem. I don't know what else to tell them. I can't convert them to Christianity.
Alright.
If they want to believe there's no God, let them do so. Because the devil didn't commit that sin.
Daniel.
What?
Daniel, we're supposed to be having an encouraged conversation about extent a non-believer's criticism of religious
I'm sorry, repeat the question then.
Anyways, so what do you think of non-believers?
I personally think they can live the way they want. The most I'll do is warn them about the Lord because the Bible says to warn them.
Okay. Now, what do you feel about people who are non-believers who criticize other religions?
I feel like it's personally a little dumb to criticize, but I mean, you can do whatever you want. Truly, I can't stop you. I'm not gonna insult you back for no reason. It'd just be aggressiveness.
Bryce, how do you feel?
I think it's kind of stupid for them to judge other people for having a belief when they don't believe anything, right? Because, listen to this. Someone doesn't believe in anything. They don't believe in a God. They don't believe in any sort of religion. They're thinking they're there for no apparent reason. So, if they're gonna judge someone and criticize someone for having a religious belief, then they're just low intelligence than the person who has a belief. Because how are you not gonna believe in something, a God? I don't even care if it's not even Christianity. How are you not gonna believe in God if even the devil didn't commit the sin of not believing in God, specifically in Christianity? Because the devil is afraid of God, but he has that pride and ego to think that he can beat God. So I'm not saying I'm gonna go to heaven, but if we go to hell, me and that non-believer, the devil will have utmost respect for him committing the sin of not believing in God. And if they're gonna come to say to me that, oh, I don't believe in God, I'm not gonna go to hell because I didn't commit any sin. Like I said before, you don't believe in God, you're gonna go to hell. I hate to break it to you. I'm sorry for judging you on that, but it's a sin to not believe in God.
But isn't that also contradicting because you're connecting your own religious beliefs to someone who doesn't believe in religion? You're connecting it to the sin, to committing a sin, to what you're discussing. But how do you think a non believer is going to feel when you present that idea of they're going to go to hell?
If they don't believe in God, why would they care?
That's a very good point. Braz, do you have anything to say on it?
No.
Okay.
Nothing else. Took the words out of my mouth.
I'm gonna get a little more serious.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut that out. So, do you think a person can be objective about religious beliefs if they aren't even religious themselves? Like, can they have an opinion on it? Can they say anything at all?
Yes, I think so. It wouldn't affect me anyways. Why not?
Bryce, do you have anything to say? Are you sure? It feels like you're hiding something.
I'm not hiding anything. It's alright. My throat, it's just been bugging me all day, you know?
Okay. Why is your throat bugging you?
I don't know. I woke up and like my throat like just been bugging me all day.
It's okay. I've been feeling, pretty bad this morning too. But do you think that potentially there could be biases in the question itself?
Yes, every opinion has some bias in it, regardless. That most statements have bias. I think the most biased thing is between like two religions in themselves. Let's say the two most similar religions, Islam and Christianity or evangelism. They're extremely similar in one of the most popular contrasts is Jesus being a prophet instead of God. So there's definitely bias in that, especially in the arguments, but yeah, there's always bias.
Well, do you think all beliefs should be open to criticism, or like what you just suggested, some should be sacred?
Um, yeah, I think they should all be open to criticism, just obviously not aggressive criticism.
Like hate speech?
Yeah, no hateful speech. I think that's wrong.
I don't think hate speech is wrong in this scenario about religions.
Why?
Hate speech is the freedom to. Hate speech is essentially the freedom to speech, unless it doesn't really matter what I'm saying to you because it's freedom of speech.
Oh,
The criticism
so
of an individual or group's beliefs is understood to fall within the core of the protection granted by freedom of expression. So, don't I have every right to say whatever I want about a religion?
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
you got a point there, but would you really like? How do I put this? Hmm. Okay.
Criticize
It,
someone's morality?
hold on. Probably yeah, but if you're gonna
Probably.
if we're gonna have a
Probably.
hateful, if you're gonna have a hateful speech against a religion, and if you're gonna have like, I don't know how to explain this. Like, like, mm, I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to explain it.
It's okay. You don't have to explain it if you don't know what to say. But like my personal opinion on sacred beliefs in general in criticism, I feel like even sacred beliefs should be criticized, even though people have been labeling as harsh criticism or a gratuitous insult as a right and would post um it would make a non-believer look more like a bad person if they were to be critical of a more sentimental cultural religion. But at the same time, if human sacrifice was part of religion, what would you think of it?
What do you mean?
If in a religion, let's say 300 years ago, there was a religion that involved sacrificing humans, what would you think about that?
What religion are we talking about there?
There's
It's a
many.
hypothetical question.
There's a lot of religions specifically, like a specific religion that I am now losing the name of inside my head, had uses very questionable techniques, and one of them, you know how like in Hotel Transylvania, you know those like little heads that are on the doors that are all shriveled up. Yeah, that was part of a religion because people thought that killing the heads of an enemy and then posting it up as essentially to provide for their honor. What's your opinion on things that are more aggressive that are part of religions?
To me, I'd say like, oh, to me it'd be disgusting even, but I'm not gonna say it out loud. I'm gonna keep it to myself. Who am I to judge someone when I'm an imperfect man myself? The Bible says.
I mean, yeah, but you're given your, well, I guess if you're religious, your God-given right, or just because, America, you're given the right to freedom of speech. So, don't you think that a religion that is openly public should technically be criticized no matter what? Kind of like how with people who go out in the day dressed up in furry suits. Like, they're openly putting themselves for criticism. So, shouldn't people who are open about religion expect criticism instead of being upset over it?
Yeah, I'd say so. That's a pretty valid point, yeah. They should expect it.
I do think the point of the argument of it focusing on the legitimacy of a non-believer's criticism of religious beliefs, because it kind of puts a stigma between us and them. So it's making it look like non-believers and people who do believe in religion are separate. And though they are separate, that kind of makes them more apart. It spreads them apart. That's what brings this tension. That's what brings this criticism. Because people don't want to understand it, because people are put into these like diagrams where they're just different from them. But I have another question to ask, purely out of curiosity. Do you know any religions specifically that face more criticism than others?
Christianity.
I don't think that.
So what religion do you think faces?
I think the only
probably...
reason that Christianity is seen to face the most criticism is because I believe more than 64% of people in the United States are Christian themselves. And so many countries, especially third world countries that you would expect not to be Christian, are actually Christian. So I feel like it's just more that Christianity is such a more popular religion that it seems like there's more criticism towards it, but in reality, it's just out of pure popularity.
So people are criticizing Christianity because people are criticizing Christianity for how popular it is?
No, not necessarily criticizing it because it's more well known to criticize it. Do you guys know any, say, any specific East Asian religions? Do you know any of those?
Well, like Buddha?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it goes more deeper into Buddhism. Do you know any specific ones? Buddhism is a religion in generality. That's just a label of the religion, but there's branches of it. Do you know any of those branches?
No.
Okay.
I think... Isn't there like... I think one's called like Mahayana Buddhism, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Sunni.
Yeah. I've heard of those.
It's also kind of a logical fallacy, don't you think? About the question itself being, to what extent can a non-believer's criticism on religious beliefs be legitimate when there's a question of ad hominem fallacy where people who are religious are criticizing other religions that they personally don't have a lot of knowledge on. Do you think that's also a problem?
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, because
it's time to criticize something you're not informed about.
It begs that
blind judging
Scotsman fallacy, where it's like no one can criticize without having a deep understanding of the topic. And then there's people in religions. There's people who believe in religious beliefs, and then they're just criticizing other religious beliefs, and it begs that hypocrisy. Like, you are not educated on it, so why should a non-believer have any more right to talk about a religious belief if those part of a religion are judging other people's religious beliefs? That is so hypocritical. I hate hypocrites.
I think it's fine to have like surface criticism, like, oh, I personally don't believe in this, but you can. I think, yeah, hateful speech about religions that you're not informed about. I think that's a little dumber than people think, because it does beg the question of hypocrisy. It's huge, hypocritical.
Yeah, and it's also just there's always going to be that conflict because of the fact that the question begs observational. It's not something that you need to be like, oh, here's all this data about Christian people or Hindu people or Islam people. It's that observational ethic idea. Because it's purely based on viewpoints. Your opinion is going to be different from mine. Romeo's opinion is going to be different from mine. So it's just an incredibly subjective topic.
Yeah, it's based off perspective. Your bias, your opinion is based off your perspective, how you grew up, the environment you grew up in, the people you grew up in.
But as a religious person yourself, I'm a Buddhist, so I can't really speak much on non-believers, but as a Buddhist myself, has someone who is a non-believer or in a different religion ever given you a perspective of or a perspective that's made you change your opinion on something part of your religion or religious beliefs?
Not personally, but there's
Yes, I
definitely
did.
been.
Stop. Do you not remember that one time where we were
No.
arguing about being gay?
Oh, at like 3 a.m.
Yes!
when I was like tired as fuck.
Yes. In my argument, because I literally did change your mind on that, though, didn't I?
It wasn't that. It was more like I judged someone for being gay, and you changed my opinion on judging.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
Because I judged a
Definitely.
lot then.
Yeah, I know you did. You're very judgmental. You still are judgmental. But it's okay. But have you ever felt offended when someone's been rude to your religion?
Yeah.
Have
I mean, yeah, it's
you
something you want to defend.
have you ever felt offended about other things? Like if
Yeah.
someone said your hair was ugly? Or if someone said that you suck at Valorant and Overwatch?
Alright.
All
That
What
right.
do you feel
seems
offended?
specifically
Sounds like me.
targeted.
What do you feel? Yes, I know. What if you fucking suck at Overwatch and somebody said it to you? What? Yesterday, when a guy told you to get off the roll DPS, how did that make you feel?
I didn't really
Were
care,
you?
besides
Shut
the
up! No,
fact that I
you're
just wanted.
lying. Were
No,
you?
let me explain. I wasn't
Mm.
offended. I just wanted to prove myself. I didn't really care. I just needed to prove myself. I felt the need to
That's actually that's a really good idea. That's what I'm trying to tie into is you can feel offended about someone criticizing your beliefs, but in reality, aren't you always going to be criticized? No matter what, nobody's perfect. Everybody's the same person. Nobody's as good as Overwatch as me. Nobody's as bad as Valorant as Romeo.
Oh. Nothing.
Everybody's gonna have different beliefs, and that's, I guess, it's what makes it so confusing. Because separating non-believers and people part of religions and putting this label of us and them on them, this label of legitimacy on, but how do people know religious beliefs are legitimate? You know, it's just such a controversial question that nobody can get the answer to. And people are just going to keep arguing about this when you're never going to get an answer. Because you don't even know if religion is truthful or not, because that's your own personal viewpoint.
Okay,
Can I
but
speak?
there's always been like a small point I think in my head. I feel like being an atheist to me, like atheist or even let's throw it in there, Satanist. I think it's always been a little dumb, because let's say for Christians, just a random thought out there. If their God doesn't exist, they're just gonna go to the void. If heaven does exist, they're gonna go to heaven. However, for atheists, if religion is true, they're just gonna be sent to hell.
So are you saying you should just gamble with what religion you pick?
That's the whole point of faith. You learn more about that specific religion, and then you put all of your faith into that to see if you make it to heaven or you make it to hell. And if you do what it says is good in that religion, then you heaven. That's it.
I mean, okay. Let me throw something out there. If you're only believing in a religion because you're scared of going to hell, I see no point in believing at all. You're just going blind fear. To me, I feel like personally, in Christianity, you're supposed to love God for his goodness and his forgivingness, for even sending himself as a human to die for you. While he was dead, before he rose 3 days later, he spent 3 days in hell.
Bro, but then
For
we're
us.
just going on this tangent of Christianity again. So
Right,
what
but-
Christianity? So what God? So what Jesus Christ? A
I mean-
non-believer's not gonna give a shit about that. A non-believer will not give a fuck about Jesus.
But you can say that for every religion then. Let's put aside Christianity then. For any religion, if you're just going off fear of going to hell or going to whatever bad dimension they have, then there's no point in believing at all.
So then it wouldn't matter what a non-believer criticizes?
I mean, if you're just doing good things to be in the glory of that God, I see no point. You get what I mean, or?
I mean, I don't know. I'm a little confused.
Like, how can I put this? Goodness you do in order to go to, let's say, just heaven, because there's not really another name for it. If you're just doing good things, driven by fear instead of driven by love, I see no true intentions behind it.
But I'm gonna add on to that. There's gonna be a point, yes, where you're gonna have fear for that. You're gonna have fear for going to hell and not making it to heaven. But then once you realize, if you're like reading the book of whatever God there is, and you realize that, wait, this God did so much for me, and the things that I'm reading are so amazing. I have a feeling for him. Like I have love for him now.
So you would feel offended if, I could understand that. If you, as a person, if you were in a bad place and God or some religion is what saved you, a non-believer's criticism could also contradict in legitimacy to the fact that they don't know that personal context of that person and they don't know why they believe in those religious beliefs themselves. Oh god.
Oh no.
Oh god.
Please go
You
mute.
gotta go on mute.
Oh, I was gonna ask where my Uber Eats at.
Oh my go on mute, bro.
This podcast is sponsored by Uber Eats. Type in the code UTB5798.
Podcast is sponsored by Air the bottle brand that makes scent flavored.
Oh, I'm not getting Uber.
No.
Are you talking like Galaxy Gas?
No. They make pods. Okay, this is off topic, but I'll just explain it real quick. They just make like small smelling pods that you put on bottles, and like your nose it inhales and it thinks the water is flavored that way. It's like a natural way to make flavored water.
This world, bro. What the?
Did you guys hear about the whole honey situation?
Oh yeah, how it's a whole scam?
Yes! And they were just selling your data on the freaking dark web.
Markiplier's my goat.
I love you, Markiplier!
Yeah.
Okay, but on today's episode of podcast, say goodbye to Romeo and Daniel, who have helped me and also changed my perspective on, I guess, the legitimacy of criticizing, even though I still believe that any person should criticize whatever they fucking want to. But oh, I just oh god. Say goodbye. YouTube outro. music.
Oh no. Just type in YouTube outro music.
Okay, guys. Thank you for being on Somos podcast. We had an amazing time with Romeo and Daniel, and they have sincerely helped me with my project. Even though we messed up a few times, we still explained everything. So on that note, thank you so much for watching Somos Cholos, and I'll see you again.
Oh no.